Welcome back to another video on my 2007 GT500. In this video, my plan is to go and we're going to do some maintenance, change plugs, do a little bit of logging, and possibly another 60 to 130 and see how it's doing now that we have some nice weather. Drag racing around me has pretty much come to an end. Last video did an oil change, just kind of catching up on some maintenance. And the tuner sent me a while ago, and this is on me for not doing anything, a race tune to try out. I need to log it to 3,000 or 6,000 RPM at watt. Check the plugs for any detonation, make sure it's good. It should be safe. And then if that's good, then we got the green light to go ahead and send it. So this tune-up is supposed to be a little bit spicier. We'll see what happens. That was the words he used. So we'll see how it goes. I haven't logged this or run it yet. We are on the 2.8 pulley, so it's the safer pulley. And I'm curious, so my way to test this once we have it all put in, I'm gonna data log it, we'll check timing and stuff, and then see what the car is doing. And if it's safe, might pull it down and try an all out 60 to 130 pull and see what it does. My previous best at the drag strip with the drag pack on, that matters because it's lighter than the street wheels, was a 6.71 with the 2.6 pulley, ice down, going down the drag strip. So we'll see if we can get any better. This car ran a 690 once. It also ran its best quarter mile and its best what was it, mile per hour for that whole track, and that was in Rockingham, North Carolina. I've not been able to replicate those numbers before or after running at that track, so I don't know if it was just something weird about that day, or if the track was weird, or if maybe the air was just magic that day. Who knows? But on that setup, we were on the 2.7 pulley, no cams or anything, and the previous tune. Prior to that, I was doing some looking back at my old videos. My mile per hour now with the 2.8 pulley, or actually I'm sorry, with the 2.6 pulley, the cams, and its tune is about the same as it was before. I may get around 100 miles an hour in the eighth, which is pretty much on par. I went ahead and looked back quarter mile stuff from the previous owner because I was curious, and he was getting about 130 to the quarter on no cams. I think he was on the 2.4 pulley or something like that. This is a little bit prior with the VMP Gen 1, I believe. I don't think it had the Gen 2 on yet, or the monoblade. So just interesting to see. The car has been consistent over its lifetime, essentially, of this setup makes around 130 mile per hour in the quarter and around 100 in the eighth. So a couple of things that I want to change and check out. As you guys know, I was talking about trans stuff. Sorry, I'm going a bit of a rant, but I figured I'd talk to you guys. Trans stuff, something I want to address. Water lines to go to the 1 inch, something I want to address. But for right now, the trans works fine. Second gear onward, there's no like lockouts or anything weird. So we should be able to do a 60 to 130 before it gets pulled and see what it's doing. And we should be able to log our race tune and see what it is. I don't think I'm going to get full advantage of it at the track because my lockout issues on the 1-2 shift. But I'm curious what it picks up. I want to check the timing, all that stuff. So super long-winded way to say, let's go ahead and hop into the video with our spark plug change first. All right, just want to look at each plug real quick. So number one, looks good. They always have a little bit of oil residual around the top. I don't know if it's a seal. I changed mine when I had the valve covers off, so who knows. But it's fine, not gonna hurt anything. It's pretty normal. Yeah, plug looks fine. Obviously we have the Orange Man octane booster stuff on there, not gonna hurt anything. There we go, got that one. This one looks good. Anything we'd be looking for is if it was like running extremely lean, it might be a little light. Can't really tell much else other than that. Detonation would show up as speckles on the porcelain. That's one of the reasons we're changing plugs right now. One, so we can get this crap off. And like, it's about as fine as regular soot might be, and it just wipes off. So not super worried about it, but just stuff to be aware of. The point of putting in the new plugs, like these have one run on them with octane booster, so you can still read the porcelain. It just got a slight orange tint to it. This one's got a couple, and these are used for my tuning, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was good. And I pulled these out because I was doing fresh plugs at the time, but they're fine. They only have one pass on them, so I'm gonna go and put them all back in. And then we got new ones for that side because that's way more accessible, and we'll be able to do what we need to do over there as far as pull them out and check them for spark and stuff like that. All right, plugs are good to go. Next thing we got to do, we're gonna load up the tune. And next clip should be a testing wide open throttle hit, 6,000 RPM. So I guess I'll see you guys on the road. Went ahead and did our pull just now, as you guys saw. Pulled the plugs on the driver's side, and we're looking for any form of detonation. That thing looks clean. So what you're looking for, if I can get this focused just right, any kind of black speckles on the porcelain going on. Okay, let's do this. So any black speckles on the porcelain is what is not ideal. And that looks good. I've never had GoPro focus issues before. But yeah, there's a little bit of smudge right on this corner right here, and that was from me. So when I was adjusting the tip, but again, this one also looks good to go. So again, don't worry about that side. We don't have any detonation going on. So I went ahead and checked the log out, and I saw 17.5 degrees of timing peak on that one. So that is not nearly as spicy as I thought it was gonna be for 100 octane. So we're gonna go ahead, I sent the revision off, and we'll see what he says. Might just call it there. It's probably safe for pump gas, especially with the 2.8. We still have the option to pull it down to 2.6, and that just might be where she sits. So we'll find out. But that's pretty much where we're at. So I'm gonna go put this back together and see what happens next. All right, so a good bit of time has gone by and since the last clip. So we went ahead and did our data log pull and pulled the plugs. Everything looked fine, no issues there. Pulled the data log itself to see and check out what it was doing. And I was seeing 17.5 degrees of timing up top. So I was expecting this to be a little bit more spicy than that. So I went and reached out to the tuner. I was like, hey man, how's it going? I just wanted to ask what was going on. Basically what it comes down to, there's a couple of different things going on. So first, I'm tuned, and the fuel I put in the tune request was for 93 octane, not for anything additional. Originally when we had it tuned, it was so cold it was adding extra timing in. I was under the impression that I needed to run octane booster at that. Realistically, I'm running basically a 93 only tune with no issues. So the timing's a little bit mild because of that. Running the amount of boost that we're running, cams and everything else, cylinder pressures are getting up there, and he's concerned about it potentially knocking. These cars don't have knock sensors, so we gotta be a little conservative. So with that being said, what's the way forward? So what it comes down to, I gotta get better fuel in the car basically. So running the octane booster should be okay, but I need to put in a separate tune request, which I did just a little while ago, to get he needs to sit down and do a lot more work on the tune to try and dial it in for the octane booster and see if we can get additional timing in there. So I was talking about that. So it looks like the way forward for power wise, add a few more degrees of timing with Boostane and everything. You should be able to take closer to 19 to 20 degrees of timing. So that's what I'm looking for anyway, based on all the research I've done. And he's a very knowledgeable guy. BJ's awesome. So he'll let me know if that's out of the realm of possibilities or not. So yeah, so we're gonna add a little bit more timing in there, which these cars love it, and we'll pick up some decent power with that. and then we can run a little bit more boost. So back in the old days when this car was owned by Steve Nanny, he was running a 2.4 pulley with 10% upper or 10% lower on this car, and he was seeing close to 23 pounds of boost, which is up there. It was like 22 and a half. So what I went ahead and did is I looked at some of his old videos to get some in camera, and I was looking at the boost gauge, and I was curious about that. So this is where the cams come into play. So you're seeing like 23 pounds, 22 pounds with everything on the car as it sits, and the 2.4 upper. That's a lot of boost. So when I did the cams, and I'll show them fast, but rewind a little bit more. Looking at my original footage when I pulled it down to the 2.7 on the old setup, it was the most boost I'd ever run, and it was seeing about 16 PSI, 17, and then it would climb to about 18 PSI right at the last little like 1,000 RPM or so. And I was always concerned. I was like, why is it seemed weird that it would just boop, just up a little bit more like that. So what I think was happening, and that's where the difference is between boost and power and everything. I think what was happening is running into the limitation of the motor, meaning the cam itself was not flowing enough air to the upper RPM range, and it was letting it get to that like additional level of boost. So now that we have cams in it and the motor's breathing so much better, the boost level is a lot lower than what I'm used to seeing. So it's kind of been like messing with me because I've been thinking like, oh, something's wrong. But it's not what it is. So the motor's flowing a lot more air, getting it in and out as it's supposed to with the cams, which is awesome. And with the 2.6 pulley, which is what I had on there recently, we're seeing about 16 PSI on the dot going down the drag strip. 2.7, we're seeing 17, 18. So it dropped about 2 PSI worthy of all the pulley ranges. Where I'm going with this, so I was talking some more, and I think the smallest pulley combo that he's comfortable with me running on this car as it sits is a 2.5. So we're gonna get a 2.5 grip tech pulley on here to make sure there's no belt slip whatsoever, because I'm concerned there might be a little bit of belt slip on the top end. So I'm gonna go a 2.5 pulley. We're gonna get the race gas tune in here, or the octane booster specific for next year. And I'm hoping that should be my missing mile per hour. So I'd like to see this car trapping 105-ish in the 8th, 105 to 110, somewhere in there would be awesome. And I'd really like to see it trapping in the 135 to 140 range up at the top end. Now, I don't think I'm gonna get 140, but I do think 135, 136 is feasible with everything I've got going on with this thing. So the extra timing, 1 more pound of boost, I think will be there. So that's the plan. I do have to take care of the transmission stuff. That is the biggest killer of my ET right now is the trans. So like I said, that's gotta happen this winter. Otherwise, I mean, there's no point in adding more power if I can't actually get the gears to go in gear. And like with a 130 trap speed, which I'm doing in the quarter, like an 11.1 is atrocious. I should be like high 10s, mid 10s, like 10.5, 10.7 would be where this car should be if I could shift the damn thing and get off the line. Still learning a lot. We're getting there. A little bit of ramble, but I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of where my head's at with everything. So mechanically, got to get the trans sorted out, and I really like to adjust my intercooler setup to get some better, lower intake air temps. It's fine for the 8th mile, but when we get into that quarter, that last 3rd to 4th, 4th gear, IATs really start to climb up there and start pulling some timing out. It's not much, but a couple degrees here and there is enough to kill some power. So that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I do want to go ahead and take the car out, do a 60 to 130 hit, just see where she's at. I did put the 2.6 pulley back on there. So 2.6, got some booster in the tank and regular street tires. I'm gonna try, I think I might do 2 runs. We'll see if it sticks. But the plan is to do a 3rd gear hit and then do a 2nd gear hit and see if there's any difference. Honestly, I don't think there will be, but I'm just curious where the car's at. I did reroute my ice tank to run to the heat exchanger first because that's where it's gonna get the coolest air right now. So heat exchanger, blower back in the tank. And it doesn't really matter that much, I feel like, but it should be a little bit cooler. Maybe it'll help out a little more on the top end, we'll see. So I'm gonna give that a shot, no ice obviously, and we'll see what it does. All right, let's get a locks up the front tires, so you do burn out.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, boys, made it back. Well, boys, made it back, and she was making about 18 psi, which is where I wanted it to be. I think at the track, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pulley it down to that 2.5 pulley, and for street use, this is pretty solid. So, with the colder weather, it's about 60 degrees out, denser air, she just makes so much more power. It's crazy. So I think we really do got to get those intake air temps down. Third and fourth, we were seeing 18 degrees of timing, 18 and a half in first and or in third, and 18 in fourth, which I never see at the track because the temps start getting too high. We're like 106 IAT2. So I think we have a lot more power on the table if we could get the timing back in there. Which
we interrupt this program for an important news announcement.
Is where it's supposed to be, especially running a better intercooler setup. And then other than that, I mean, she did great. So like an idiot, I stopped my pull literally 2 miles an hour short of 130. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the calculation on the run. I just inserted the timer in there when it starts because, well, I'm an idiot. So it is what it is, not official. I don't have the dragging chart to back it up, but hey, that's what it was. So pretty happy with everything else, and I'll see you guys in the next video on this outstanding GT500.